years into a job maybe, or 20 years into a relationship, and they hate their job or they fight all the time and they don't like where they are, but it's just not that uncomfortable for them to leave. They're comfortable when you think about it, and they're not uncomfortable enough to leave. Embracing that uncomfort, it's actually a very good thing that's propelling you in the right direction.
Well, you have to get comfortable as an entrepreneur with being uncomfortable. I don't think, I've interviewed new entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, everyone in the middle. Everyone has some piece of uncomfort in them that's driving them forward. And you have to get used to that. And you have to know that, okay, that's going to be the fire under my ass that keeps me going. And it's not a bad thing. It's good motivation. So if you get comfortable knowing that that uncomfortable feeling is going to be there, you're going to better be able to get out of your comfort zone and do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's scary, but I think that's the good thing about jumping in early. I think it's the good thing about starting with baby steps. It's a muscle that you develop. So anything that you can do to make yourself uncomfortable, whether it's maybe ordering something different off the menu or
David, you don't even do that.
No, hell no. well, let me tell you why I don't do that. That's actually a funny side note.
No, we won't believe you, whatever you say. Well, you're afraid of food. So you can say it now, but I'm going to pre-qualify that.
I do eat a lot of the same things. I do have routines in my life that are set up because I think that all humans need some level of comfort. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy, there's certain things that we want. And for me, one of the things that makes me feel comfortable, certain food that I like to eat every week, sometimes every day maybe, or maybe a certain route to work or the store, whatever. But the reason that I do that is because I try to branch out in other areas of my life. So maybe that's a way for you to get out of the discomfort. I didn't think about that when we were planning the show, but there's truth to that. I think if you can add some elements of comfort into your life, you'll be able to jump out of comfort in other elements of your life. So I think it's an important mix, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to be comfortable in a place that will eventually bite you. And that's going to be your job. That's going to be your relationship. That's going to be your health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give an example for this kind of embracing the chaos, or an analogy to use. And there was a road in Nashville called Charlotte Pike. And I guess it was years ago now, David, they decided they wanted to widen it. And this happens in every city. It's probably happened in many roads in Nashville, Tennessee. But they decided they wanted to widen it from this just 2-lane road to make it a 4-lane road. And it was going to be a huge project. And so what happened is, of course, they tear everything up. They got all the orange cones out. I mean, the bulldozers are out. Everyone's backed up. It's hard to get to work. Everyone's honking. I mean, it's just, an entire mess of what it would be like to tear up a main road in any city. And that's kind of the chaos, is like the road started small. And before you can make it big, you have to tear it to pieces, and nothing's flowing and nothing's working. But months later, when they're done with this road, it's this 4-lane road where everything flows smoothly, and they really, opened it up to more traffic. You get to work faster, things happen better, but you have to go through that time of chaos to be able to expand. And that's why I said, if chaos is in your life, it does mean you're going in the right direction and you're building. You've torn something down and you're building it back up again.
Have you ever been to Boston?
I have not.
Boston is a very interesting city. It's, I think, one of the oldest cities in the United States. It definitely has the oldest subway. It's been around for a long time. And it was developed, or the roads were developed. Guess how they were made?
Cobblestones? I don't know.
Before cobblestones, cow paths.
Ah.
The paths the cows would take. And if you know anything about cows, they like a certain path. It can be winding. They're going to go for the less grade, the better. Let's say that.
What do you know about cows, David?
I'm from Nashville.
Good point. Okay, keep going. You're an expert.
Yeah. So all the roads are winding, and they're just, the path of least resistance, kind of like people when you think about it. So the cobblestones that you mentioned, they eventually put those on top of the cow paths, and sometimes they will put pavement on top of the cobblestones, but it was more or less the same city that was designed by cows hundreds of years later. Well, they had a huge project up there, and you can search for this on Google because a lot of people have opinions on it. It was called the Big Dig, and they said, well, in 3 years, we're going to have this fixed, and it's going to cost $10 million. Well, it didn't cost $10 million. It took a whole lot longer than 3 years. I think it took maybe 10 or 20 years for the whole thing to happen. If you went to Boston during the Big Dig, it was a complete mess because they were basically trying to put everything underground and make the paths a little bit more straight. But they've got businesses there, they've got water there, they've got bridges, they've got tunnels, they've got a lot of things that they've got to work with. And it didn't work like they thought. But once they did, like you said, just like Charlotte Pike in Nashville, a much better commute. It makes things easier. And that's how it is when you actually plan ahead. It's better to do that up front. Don't let those cows and the path of least resistance give you the crazy paths that seem easy but end up being worse. But at the same time, not knowing, sometimes you're going to end up with something like that. As I mentioned earlier, that's why we have Red Podcasts. We're trying to keep you out of those situations, but sometimes you have to learn them the hard way. And this is what's going to happen when you learn them the hard way. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is a better path. You can always go back and fix the mess that you've made and make it better.
And one more thing before we end up with our giveaways is I want to say, in addition to keeping your eye on the goal and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, I want to say follow your gut instinct when it comes to embracing the chaos. You know deep down inside if you're on the right path. If you don't know, then you got to get in tune with your gut a little bit more. But entrepreneurs, we use our gut instinct. So tap into that. And if it tells you you're on the right path and you're just in a lull right now in that chaos, just stick with the path that you're on and get through it. And it's going to work out in the end.
To help you along that path, we're in the middle of 30 days of red hot giveaways. Let's get to those giveaways, Laurel.
Yeah, and the giveaways are, once again, brought to you by our sponsor today, Dave Delaney. He is the author of New Business Networking, which is a fantastic book. Dave does so many great things in addition to that book, and that's all at daveadelaney.com. You can check him out there. First giveaway, let's do one of your Money on the Table audiobooks. What do you say?
That's fantastic. Yeah, this is a book I wrote. It's called Money on the Table.
Well, who's our winner?
And the winner for that is Sheila Blair.
Sheila Blair, congratulations. That's a great book for you to have. I've read it. And this is the audio version, right?
Audio version. Yeah, I didn't actually narrate this one. Had another guy do it because it was just never going to get done. But he did a fantastic job on it.
All right, David, what's our second giveaway today?
Let's give away one of Dave's books. Dave has a book. It's called New Business Networking. It's a great book. It shows you how to show up in any city and be connected. He wouldn't say that. That's what I got out of it. He's a fantastic networker, very, very connected, and will show you how to do the same thing. A lot of it via social media. It's very cool how he works.
He knows his stuff. All right, I'm going through the list. How about Joseph Atkinson?
All right, Joseph Atkinson, you've got a New Business Networking book.
Congratulations.
We will get that to you. Congratulations. And Dave has a great podcast, by the way. It's based on the book, interviewing some great connected people. It's at NBN Radio. You can search for that on iTunes. Let's give away Kindle.
Kindle. I love my Kindle. Why don't you pick the winner?
Sure.
For the grand prize, Kindle.
I got the list right here, Laurel, and Bethany Trainer is going to get the Kindle.
Bethany, congratulations.
So Bethany, congratulations. We'll ship a Kindle out there to you. If you heard your name here, if your name is Joseph Atkinson, Sheila Blair, Bethany, do reach out to us to make sure that we get to you. It's at hello@redpodcast.com. Thanks to Dave Delaney, New Business Networking. It's a great book, a great podcast at NBN Radio. Thanks for being involved, Dave. RED, what's it stand for, Laurel?
Real Entrepreneur Development.
We're here 3 times a week. The real deal of entrepreneurship, things that you need to know so you're not like the cows in Boston.
I like that.
Forging that path that you're not going to want to forge here in a couple years. We're going to give you the sleek superhighway, like the solar freaking highways kind of superhighway.
It's going to be like the monorail of business. You know, it's just taking you over everything and getting you there really freaking fast.
We got some great stuff. We'd appreciate if you like this episode. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. And certainly if you want to get involved with the 30 days of Red Hot giveaways, redpodcast.com/giveaway. Laurel, thank you.
Thanks, David.
See you next time.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.